connection will hold up. Supposedly, we're supposed to have a thunderstorm happen here from 3 to 5, meaning like pretty much the entire duration of this live sale. So this will be a little bit of an adventure for all of us, I think. So for those of you that are in chat, let me know if I sound okay. I always do a little bit of a sound check when we get started here. So if you need me to crank up the volume or anything like that, just let me know. I can also right now go over the rules very quickly. Oops, let's do that again. So the way that this works is the live sale takes place in 2 different places: on YouTube through the stream itself, and on TidalGardens.com. There's a link in the top left of the site, and that will take you to all the different items. There should be 126 currently available, and they're all just numbered with a price. Some of them have more than one available, and in order to see what those numbers are, you actually have to watch the live sale as we go. So to purchase those corals, you actually have to check out with them. Just having them in your shopping cart doesn't actually reserve them. So it's okay to check out multiple times. Just each time for the shipping option, just select local pickup / live sale. That way you don't get charged for shipping. Plenty of people kind of mess up at that step and they get charged shipping like 5 times. And we have to just go ahead and refund like 4 instances of shipping. So it's, even if you mess up, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it after the fact. But if you select local pickup / live sale, you will not be charged shipping. When you're finally done with your order, you can then add in that $39.99 shipping module. If you spend over $250, however, shipping is on us. So it's either going to be a flat rate $39.99 or free over $250. So that, in a nutshell, is how this live sale works. And if you've seen any of our past live sales, we've probably done, I'm going to guess, like close to 8 up to this point. Hopefully, most of you guys are somewhat familiar with the format, but for the new people, that's how this works. Now, I should point out that it is currently Saturday, August 15th, 3 p.m. here. And so if you're watching it at any other time, you're probably watching the rebroadcast. All of these things get published to YouTube after the event is over. So the live sale itself stays active for another 72 hours afterwards. So even if you missed this actual live portion, you're really only missing out on the live chat. You're still able to purchase the corals that haven't been selected already. So let's see. Looks like we've got a good number of folks tuning in already. That's great. Faroz says hi from Afghanistan. Finally got you guys online. That's terrific. And got somebody watching from Norway. It's always interesting to me when we get the international crowd checking in on us, because we don't actually like send corals overseas or anything like that. But I guess that's a good sign that you guys actually like to see the corals and chat with us about them. So that's always encouraging. So I guess let's get started on the actual live sale portion. I'll go over the rules at least one more time before it's all said and done. But let's get started here. So the first coral up is a rainbow Acan echinata. This guy, we call it a rainbow, but I mean, there's going to be another one that you're going to see that's going to be much more classically rainbow. This guy here is like predominantly orange, but the face has both like purple and teal highlights. I really couldn't come up with a better name for it. So you're probably gonna notice that like when it comes to like original names, we're really pretty short on originality when it comes to like naming conventions and stuff like that. I've like forgotten so many trade type names. I actually look forward to finding other people's names and then using them, so it like makes it that much easier for me to just find some label to put on these things without having to come up with it myself. Okay, moving on. Number 2. This is our green pinwheel acan. So this is an acan lord, whereas the previous one was an acan echinata. Kind of the difference is the lords tend to have like these fuller, more puffy polyps, while acan echinatas tend to have like a much flatter look. The polyps are roughly the same size, and in terms of care, they're pretty similar. They do well in like medium flow, medium light. I think they do better under T5s personally than LED, just in terms of like retaining their color. But I guess the only other thing that I might suggest is that if I were putting these two corals into the same tank, I wouldn't put them this close to one another because they do fight pretty aggressively with one another. All right, number 3. This is the third variety of acan that we have. It's a Bowerbanki. You can see it's a much larger polyp, also rather flat. These things are probably the slowest growing. They add like an additional polyp once every month, 2 months. And it's very fleshy. They're pretty hardy though. But like the others, I probably wouldn't trust them right next to or touching one another, just because they do kind of battle it out pretty aggressively. Okay. Yeah, so Jake Newman was just asking a general question. How hard is it to take care of an acan? You know, they tend to be pretty middle of the road as far as large polyp stony corals go. Their actual like tank requirements aren't really that big of a deal. I would just make sure to keep up with. I mean, I think as long as stay on like the I guess more conscientious of just like your maintenance schedule. You shouldn't really have any difficulty with acans. The biggest issue with acans, I would say, is probably maintaining color. People tend to use a lot of LED these days, and that tends to like invoke some dramatic changes in color, and oftentimes it's not a good change. Oftentimes they get a little bit more drab, so it really kind of depends there. And if you're ever curious about like how to feed them and stuff, you can like dig on our YouTube channel, and we have plenty of video of us feeding acans. Okay, next one up, another acan Bowerbanki. Looks like the graphic cut out there, but it's $40, not $4. This guy here, on stream, these guys look very, very similar, but the previous one is a little bit more red, whereas this one is a little bit more orange. And the red one actually also had like more of a teal streak, whereas this one, it's, I would say, predominantly orange. And if they do kind of like pick up any additional colors, it'll be towards like the middle of the polyp. Okay, number 5. So this was the one that I think is going to be a little bit more of a classical rainbow. It's a little overexposed. Yeah, there we go. Good. So you can see like the centers of these guys have more of that rainbow, like orange, blues, greens going on, and the outer part is kind of like a purplish, like a grayish purple. So anytime you have like 5 colors, I consider that much more of a true rainbow. And again, that was an echinata. So let's see, moving on, number 6. So this, believe it or not, is not an acan. It is a Micromussa that's completely wide open. These guys look a little bit better when they're more closed, but it's actually like a sign of good health for them to be open and feeding all the time like this. If he were to close a little bit, what makes them what we call a UFO is they actually have like a green halo, really where the tentacles are on its face. So you get this orange green with an orange center. Having said that, Micromussa more so than acans, will color change. And I've brought that up on numerous casts before, but it's entirely possible for all the red on this polyp to turn yellow or cream colored or green. I mean, they can really change to very, very different coloration. And mainly that's dependent on the type of lighting that they're receiving. But at least you know it's healthy and probably going to be easy to feed once you take it. Okay, number 7. So we're done with the acans and whatnot, and so we're onto our chalices. So this is a pink and blue. I'm sure there's other colorful. So you. Some of that orange. Okay, so it looks like some folks are having trouble with the buffering. I'm just gonna wait just a sec and see if that kind of clears up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to I'm going to stop the stream momentarily and put it back to a slightly different bit rate and see if that helps. So Matthew, let's go back to 7. Okay, hopefully, so I changed the our upload just a little bit, so there might be a slight drop off in quality. I don't know. So hopefully that this cleared up some of the lag issues that you guys are having. But we're going to go back to item number 7 just in case some folks had missed it. So this is our pink and blue chalice. Okay, then number 8 is our Hollywood Stunner Chalice. Okay, yeah, okay, so here's where I'm gonna rant just a little bit about my ISP. So our upload speed is capped at 5 megabits per second. That is the highest plan, both residential and commercial. So typical broadcast standard for like the BBC official standard is 50 megabits per second. We're only able to upload at 5. So if you do anything like even close to like between 4 to 6, we're gonna run into some issues. So until Google Fiber decides to like lay down some fiber in Akron, Ohio here, we kind of have to put up with some ridiculous poor upload speed. Like our download speed, it's pretty slick. I mean, it's like 100 megabits per second. But when it comes to upload, they really just like hit the brakes. So anyway, I need a new ISP, and there's none, of course. It's like a limited monopoly. So anyway, continuing on, number 9. This is our Cosmic Chalice. The reason why we call this the Cosmic is because it has like this speckle pattern. Now, Right now we are in like mid-August, and like that mid to late August, early September is actually the worst time for our corals. They tend to have, I don't know, kind of like this very drowned out coloration. So, you know, we kind of have to, that has to stop. No, that can't stay. Sorry, like, there's like all this water all of a sudden shooting into the greenhouse. So, yeah, again, when it comes to coloration, it's kind of like dampened, but what you can expect from this chalice is like the face of it develops like a speckle, and the entire body turns very, very, very dark. So this is kind of like a lighter, like orangish brown, but expect it to go more towards black. Okay, number 10. This is our yellow eye chalice. And I hate the name, but we couldn't come up with anything more interesting than that. It actually does have these bright little yellow eyes that are circled in like a cobalt color, and then the rest of the chalice is red. Okay. Number 11 is our purple and gray chalice. This guy, when I see it in person, it looks kind of monochromatic, but the eyes themselves, they almost like have like a yellowish fluorescence to it, and you can really only see that under like full actinic. But I expect that this guy will color up quite nicely, like once it's in a home aquarium and not in a greenhouse. So speaking of the greenhouse, this summer has been particularly warm. Like there was an entire week where we had temperatures like over like mid 90s, and in the past we would really greatly struggle to keep our temperatures below like 84, 85 degrees on days like that. But all the little tweaks that we've made, like the Illuminate shade cloths, all the geothermal cooling and stuff like that we do, we were actually able to keep all the tanks under 80 degrees. So it was like 79, 78 degrees, like for the entire week. It's pretty amazing. Because I was talking to somebody and they were asking questions about how to do this in a greenhouse and how to manage temperature. And I guess like the going rate for like temperature control is you're lucky to keep the temperature within 5 degrees on the high side. So if it's like, you know, high 80s, you would struggle to keep it in the low 90s even. Like that's how difficult it is to cool stuff down in a greenhouse. So the fact that we're able to keep ours like in like the high 70s is like a pretty remarkable little effort there. So I'm excited about that. All right, next up, number 12. This is our blue Lithophyllon. And so you notice that it says like X3. So there's 3 of these available. When it comes to chalices, there's some different genus of coral that are oftentimes thrown in there, and this is one of those. Like a Lithophyllon almost is a multi-mouthed fungia almost. Like it's very similar to that, much more similar to a fungia than it is to, let's say, an Acropora or an Oxypora, which are more like typical chalices, or Mycedium. I think the previous one may have been a Mycedium, but like, yeah, so this is a very, very distinct appearance, but they kind of are grouped together with all the other chalices. Okay, next up, number 13, which we will get to momentarily. So anytime you see where it just goes completely black like that, we're just moving our slider. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but there's like cicadas. And somebody was asking about that like on Reddit, I think. It's like they hear cicadas even though it's not within their 17-year cycle. So I guess like these are like either a year early or something, but there's like cicadas out. Messing with my stream. Okay. So next up here is our golden-eye chalice. It's red with a yellow polyp. Yeah, so somebody was saying, you know, what does X3 mean? It's just like there's times 3. There's 3 of those available. So somebody else was asking about rock flower anemones. There's actually not going to be any in this particular live sale. We tried some in our previous one, and they kind of just ran away overnight. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, not a great format for it. Okay. Moving on, number 14 is our pinwheel candy cane. In case you were wondering about the lighting that we're using using the most yellow ones we could find. So this is like a combination of 10K and Aqua Blue Special T5s. So any fluorescence you're seeing is pretty much what you would see if you just held this thing out into the air. Like our previous cast, any amount of blue was, I think, was getting overexpressed, and you could kind of not see the detail. So you kind of have to imagine fluorescence a little bit more because you're not seeing like directly, unless like we want to like move around the lights and stuff, which I kind of don't want to do. But that's kind of our thing right now, is we're using very, very, very daylight colored lighting for this particular show. Okay, 15. It's our neon green candy cane. Some big healthy polyps. Okay, let's move on. 16. It's our cobalt candy cane, so you can kind of see like the 3 that we carry typically. So candy canes are a pretty fast-growing LPS in that they produce additional polyps by fission. So each of these guys will kind of start pinching off almost like into like a peanut shape, like a figure 8, and out pops. You know, they'll eventually separate into 2. So this 2 will turn into 4, which will turn into 8 pretty quickly. Okay. So number 17. It's the first of our Blastmussa. I know somebody in chat was asking about Blastmussa. Okay, so going back to the candy canes, Jake Newman asks, do you guys cut the stems of the candy canes? We do. They typically, you know, the flesh doesn't extend all the way down, so that's kind of how we propagate. And we try to cut them shorter, just so that they fit in the way that we package, but eventually they do grow a little longer. So this is our Blasto Welsey, and I've mentioned it on many occasions, but the way that these guys grow is that they develop additional polyps right along their edge, and so it's very common for a single polyp to turn into like, you know, to 5, 6, 7, 8 very quickly, because they all just start to develop right on that growth edge. The Welsies also tend to be larger than the Merletis, and oftentimes they have more likely to have some interesting spectacular coloration. Okay, next up, number 18. So this is a Merleti, all red, and the interesting about this is that their polyps are actually rather large for a Merleti. Typically the Merletis have smaller polyps compared to the Welsies, but as you can see here, this one has very, very large polyps for a Merleti. Okay, next up. This is the first of 2 tricolored Blastmussa Welsies. Tricolored because the very outer portion is red, then you have like a band of like blue, and then you have like a bright green center. Number 20 is our second one. This one's slightly larger. Both the same price, but this one seems to be slightly larger. And like I said, they both have the potential of growing multiple babies right along their base. So a single polyp really does grow very quickly. Okay, next. So the previous Blastmussa merletti was just a pure red, so this is our red and green. Next up is our green Goniastria. So this is one of my favorite brain corals because I mean I obviously I like the bright fluorescent green, but the eyes, that inner polyp, it's practically white, and it's not just practically white. It's like a fluorescent white under actinics. So I mean the entire thing fluoresces, and it's like a really like very striking, just that color contrast. So unfortunately, we only have one of these available because we want to take the rest of them to Magna. So speaking of, in about 2 weeks, we're going to be going down to DC for that really big trade show down there. And I don't know how much I'm looking forward to because it's going to be a lot of work. And, you know, that's why I like to do stuff like this, so I don't have to do as much work. I like live streams where I could just stay at home. But yeah, it's going to be a big show, and I'm sure that you know, a lot of folks in the hobby are going to be looking forward to it. So it should be interesting one way or another. Number 23. This is our blue-eyed princess Favites. So this thing under actinics looks very different. The main difference is like the outer portion actually gets a lot darker because it doesn't fluoresce, but the inner that inner portion glows like a sky blue. So Don Myers is asking, since it's a greenhouse, do you guys ever have spawning events? We do, and I don't think that we see very many of them because we're not typically out here at night. But there's a video that we took where I happened to be out here, and it's like the spawning of mini carpet anemones. So if you want to check out that, it's kind of neat. We've also seen like some egg production and stuff like that from Lobophyllia. So Zen64 is asking, who all is going to Magna other than Than? I'm gonna have a total of like 5 guys. So a couple of people that work part-time here, and a couple of more or less volunteers. So that should be fun. All right, 24. This is the Christmas Favites, that kind of typical red and green appearance. So Favia and Favites, I'm really not 100% sure how to differentiate them, but typically if they have like smaller polyps and grow quicker, I call them Favites. If they're like larger polyped and grow more slowly, we call them Favia. In terms of care, they're pretty much the same. We do try to feed them, just anything that'll kind of fit in their mouth that's kind of like fleshy, so mysis shrimp sized things. The Favites tend to grow a lot faster than the Favia. Favia tend to be one of the slower growing LPS out there. Medium flow, medium light. I've seen them in higher light even, they do okay, but we keep them pretty much middle of the road everything. Okay, number 25. This is the Midnight Princess Favites. So these guys, as we get into like fall and winter, will have a very different appearance. So that center portion that's kind of purple will turn almost a complete black. Thus the Midnight name. And so you get this bright green rim with a black center. Okay, next up, number 26, which we will get to momentarily. Michael Grubbs asks, speaking of Maxi Mini anemones, can you keep them in a bare bottom tank or do you need sand? We've done it both ways. I think they always seemed happier with the sand, but I think we've done it both ways. They seem to be okay. Zen64, do you guys have any Kessel lighting at TG? Right now we don't. But at Magna, we're actually going to be using a few at our display. So we might be taking a look at that. Yeah, right now we're really using like a combination of like Reef Bright LEDs, Aqualumination LEDs, Ecotech Radions, and some T5 fixtures. Okay. This next coral up, Scarlet and Gray Favites. These are very underrated, I think. They've got spectacular coloration. And they have this really cool mix of like the greens, the reds, and the blues. Fast growing, easy to take care of, and fairly inexpensive. Okay, number 27 is the green-eyed Favites. So Matthew, this looks a little dark. There we go. Much better. Yeah, bright red, bright green eyes. Also very fast-growing Favites. Okay, number 28. This is a marbled Favia. It's kind of got that that grayish blue with that purple modeling going on. I'd expect this one to be slower growing. As I mentioned, the Favias tend to be slower. Okay, next up, number 29. It's another variety of the Scarlet and Gray Favites. It seems to be slightly smaller, and its coloration is slightly different, but it still retains that that greenish blue and the red. Bethany Keeler, if I purchase a rock flower today, can I combine it with my live sale purchases? Yes, just go ahead and select local pickup live sale, and we'll aggregate all the orders. Yeah, that pretty much goes for anything on the site. So like the live sale stuff is not exclusively live sale. So if you find other things that you wanted to purchase on TidalGardens.com, you can just check out just like normal, and we just stuff it all together. Okay, next up, number 30. This is a single polyp of the Dragon Soul Favia. Okay, I can't pronounce your name. Cincoches? C-Y-C... Cincoches? 2012. Every time I place an order, I'm asked for shipping. I thought I could add it at the end. Yes, you can. So, again, for the shipping option, just select local pickup / live sale every single time, and you won't get charged shipping. So, but you have to select that. If you select fixed rate, you're gonna get charged $39.99 each time, and then we have to refund you. So that's kind of how that works. Always select local pickup live sale until you're ready, just to like buy it at the end. Okay, 31. This is our red rim Favites. These guys are really slick. So they have like a deep purple center, followed by like a cobalt blue, followed by a red. Okay. Next up, 32. Momentarily. It will be a yellow Leptastria, apparently. Yeah, no worries. Like every single live sale, we end up having to refund shipping just because, like, because it's never super easy to have so many different ways to do these transactions. So oftentimes, like, either somebody overpays for shipping, sometimes people don't put in shipping at all, and I have to ask them to to pay for it after the fact. So yeah, I'm used to having to fiddle around just a little bit as far as that goes. So pretty sweet. Here we go. 32, yellow Leptastria. So Leptastria for us is not the fastest growing thing in the world. Just based on what it looks like, I would always assume that it would be much faster growing. But still, they're very interesting in that they are one of the few corals that have like a bright, actual fluorescing yellow. There's plenty of corals that are yellow but don't fluoresce. Excuse me. So yeah, this is one of the few that definitely has that. We tend to keep them in very low light, especially in the summertime. We almost have to find some places to provide them shade, because a lot of these times they get overexposed, and if they get overexposed, they tend to like stop growing and then start to recede. The summertime tends to be the most challenging set of months for us here because of that. Like the photo period is too long, the sun is too bright, etc., etc. JT Ventilla, will you guys be at the CC swap in October? It's undecided right now. We're hedging towards no on actually setting up, but we will probably be there just to like do like a meet and greet and also to purchase stuff from other folks. But Magna coming up in DC might be our last actual show where we're an exhibitor. Yeah, most likely anyway. All right, next up, 33. So this is our orange Leptastria. I'm noticing something that so if you notice like a slight difference in how these corals are looking, they're under a slightly different light than the previous 30 or so. And whatever lighting combination this is, we need to change all of it to this, because this looks like a lot better. So like, mental note, do this more. All right. Number 34. This is our neon green maze brain. Yeah, this looks like 10 times better. It's like we should have done the whole stream in this. It's 10K and what? Blue plus. And blue plus. Interesting. And part of it is like things always look different to your eye versus what the camera picks up. So it's always kind of hard to judge like what something is going to look like on stream. So we do experiment a lot with like how like what bulb combinations and whatnot. So yeah, looks like blue plus and 10K is like the magic recipe for this. This is a maze brain. It's pretty basic LPS. You do have to watch out. This guy can send out sweeper tentacles, so you kind of have to give him a little bit of room wherever you decide to place him. So number 35 is our toxic green Platygyra. And just because he's kind of face down, so he's a little bit shaded, but yeah, it's like bright purple ridges and like the super bright green center. Center is like probably a bad word for it. It's like that river of color. It's bright green. So Jake Newman asks, do you need to place brains on the sand bed? You don't need to. A lot of people tend to put them lower in the tank, but no, it's not a necessity. I think like the only real concern I would have about placing them like towards the sand bed would maybe like they might get covered up by something. Or yeah, I mean they might get like buried by like a sand sifter. That can sometimes happen, but placing them higher on rocks, the concern there is that they would fall off and land on something, and they have a pretty potent sting if that happens. Okay, number 36. This is a free care Pavona. This is a tiny frag of it. But this is one of like the one of the more premium corals, I would say. Can we lighten that up just a little bit, Matthew? Yeah. So it has like a fuchsia colored base and like these lime green tips of the tentacles. If you want to see what one of these things looks like when it gets larger, you can check out a video that we did on Nathan's aquarium. We actually did like several videos on Nathan's aquarium over the years, but yeah, in there somewhere we've got a lot of video footage of this particular coral when it grows larger. And so hopefully you guys have seen like the most recent couple videos that were on his tank. His tank is looking pretty crazy good looking right now. So yeah, definitely check those out. I'm really happy with how they turned out, and it was like really easy subject matter to shoot because it's like this completely ridiculously grown in aquarium. It looks fantastic. Always something to aspire to, I guess. For me even. Number 37. This is an orange Pavona. Number 38 is a golden Leptoseris. Yeah, seriously, this looks so much better. I'm thinking maybe we should just like maneuver just so we only use these lights for the rest of the show or something. It looks so good. Actually, you know what I'm thinking? If you turn these lights off, there's actually two blue pluses here, and maybe you and Michael can just like swap those out because I know that there's a 10K in there. Yeah, I think that is one of them, and I think this the one closest to me is another. Yeah, so we're gonna like do some lighting change on the fly here. We'll see how this works. All right, so 39 is our second golden Leptoseris. Leptoseris are like really fast becoming some of my favorite corals. They have such a unique appearance. This one in particular, like the lighter color of the two, has almost like a metallic quality to it. So that's why it really kind of does look like it's a 24 karat gold coral. All right, number 40. This is the jack-o'-lantern Leptoseris. So the jack-o'-lantern differs from the golden in that it has like a bright green central polyp. And like that green is almost like a yellowish, so it kind of depends on your lighting, of course. But yeah, I would say it's almost more yellow than it is green often. Number 41. This is an Ultra Leptoseris. We don't really have a very clever name for these, so we just call it an Ultra. But this Leptoseris, at first we thought it was like a jack-o'-lantern, but then you see that like the greenish yellow center almost pervades all the way to the edge of the polyp. So it like once these things get large, it's a very distinctive looking pattern. So Klein 1658 asks, what kind of water flow does a Leptoseris usually like? I don't know if they're really that particular. We've got it growing in any number of different types of flow. Like one tank that we have has like practically no flow. They do fine. Another one of our tanks has like some pretty intense flow, and they seem to do fine. Same thing with lighting. Like we've kept them in different types of lighting, but I would hedge towards lower light for these guys. Okay, next up, number 42. There we go. Sorry, couldn't hear me. So slightly smaller, less expensive one if you just wanted to try like a really, really small frag. Okay then, number 43. We're past our Leptoseris and into our Sephastria. So kind of like a Leptoseris, but definitely more true for Sephastria. You'll really want to find like low lighting conditions for these. Summertime is like pretty brutal on them, and we're just now able to really make them look good. And of course, as soon as I say that, it shrinks. But yeah, for most of the summer, these things don't have very good color. Like they typically brown out wherever we keep them in our systems. But we found a particularly shady spot, and just now they're starting to regain some of that really nice coloration. So nice, like bluish purple base, bright green polyps on this guy. Okay, next up, number 44. This is our Harlequin Sephastria. This guy in particular, I would not have been able to sell to you last week because it had zero color. Like, you know the Cleveland Browns jerseys that are like kind of like brown and crummy? That's what this coral looked like. It was just brown. There's no differentiation in color whatsoever. Hold on, what are you looking for? Nothing? Okay. Sorry, the guys are looking for something. So yeah, this particular coral just had like no color whatsoever, and now it's finally picking up that like very bright yellow tentacle. The inner polyp is actually red against like a purple background, purple base, I should say. JSHD, low light as in under a Monte cap, or will that be too low? There's actually no such thing as too low. They can be in like a cave practically. Lothario Bow, hello Than, all the way from the Bahamas. Welcome. I'm guessing your weather is much nicer than what we're experiencing here. Jake Newman asks, do Sephastrias like/require feeding? I think they do, but whenever we've have any video footage of them feeding, it's kind of ambiguous as to whether or not they actually ingest the food. So I'm kind of on the fence. I try to feed everything though, so if you did want to try to feed them something, what I would suggest is whenever you mix up frozen food and you get that cloudy stuff, I would take a turkey baster of just like the cloudy stuff and just kind of like broadcast it in a general direction. And when those polyps close, that might be a sign of them feeding. It's kind of tough to say for sure, but that's what I would do. All right, moving on, number 45. This is the purple people eater Sephastria, which you may have seen online. Bright green base, nice purple polyps. This guy hasn't fully extended his polyps for us just yet. It's one of the newer additions that we've had. We propagated it probably a few weeks ago, or at least cut it, I should say, a few weeks ago. We have several remaining cuttings, but yeah, it's one of the newer Sephastrias that we've picked up. I kind of like it. I mean, I think it's definitely has like very punchy colors, and I for one, whenever I'm like shopping for corals, I tend to like big contrast between like the polyp and the base or something like that, where it's like a very stark color difference. Other folks I know like very subtle transitions and patterns and stuff like that. I'm more for like hit you over the head with bright stuff. Okay, next up, 46. In a moment, it will be our pink Sephastria. All right, so the guys are kind of like scurrying in the background because like the lights just look so good with that bulb combination. We decided to take down the fixtures that we started the stream with. Excuse me. And decided to swap out the bulbs to that other combination. So the rest of the stream theoretically should look more or less like what you were seeing more recently. Jake Newman, should I leave the power heads on so that the food brushes past the polyps? You could. I think a lot of folks tend to turn off the pumps for feeding, so you can do either way. I think for starters, I would probably turn them off. So this is our pink, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Purplish pink polyps on a brighter pink background base. Guys all right there, Robbie? All right. You guys are like out of breath and stuff. All right, 47. This is our small Australian elegance. Looks like you got the pink tip variety here. Because I know that, okay, so there's going to be 3 elegances in total. This guy, although he takes up the full screen, is probably extended. Okay? About 4 inches, let's say. So this is what we would classify as our small. Typically, we charge about $75 for something like this. Obviously, for the live sale, it's a little bit less. It's $50. The next 2, we're not even going to get on frame. So let's just jump ahead to that. So this is the first of 2. This is what we call the medium Aussie elegance. So we're still on the small right now. So let's go to the medium. Mediums, yeah. Okay. So these guys really are way larger. I don't know why we call them mediums. They're clearly large. But I would say that they're at least, 8-9 inches? Something along those lines. They're gigantic. Gigantic. And these are purple tips, whereas like the small guy was a pink tip. And the base of this is probably about 3.5 inches of like a walled variety, whereas the other one is more of a cone. But that'll kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. But like I said, these elegancers are massive. That's 48, and 49 as well is a quote-unquote medium Aussie elegance, which is gigantic. Yeah, and they're cheap. So like $85 and $90. Usually we sell like the mediums for about $125. Larges would be like closer to $200. So basically you're getting what I kind of think is a large for about $90. 89, 85, 90, something like that. So anyway, so Bruce Hansen, hello, hi fish from Iowa. Welcome. All right, if you guys have seen enough elegance for your day. One thing to notice about elegance. One thing I will add. They like to eat snails. So if you like snails, guess what? So do these guys. And they will eat them, lots of them. So you kind of have to budget snails in when it comes to large elegances. They're really good at catching and eating snails. Okay, so number 50. It's a purple tip Frogspawn. This is an Indonesian variety, so it will grow little buds at its base. It may even have some buds at its base, I'm not really sure, but it's not uncommon for them to grow like 5 buds at its base. And within a few months, all of the heads will be about this size, after about 6 months, let's say. Juan Ojeda says, hi from Puerto Rico. We actually do ship to Puerto Rico. It costs $20 extra, but yeah, we do it. So Anthony Debson, you keep asking, is a hollow aquascape a good idea for someone with a large tank and a small budget? Last try. I actually did answer this question already, but no, like don't do an aquascape based on budget. Like it's kind of like the wrong mentality to have, because you're really not going to save money that way. I mean, there's very few ways to realistically save money, and altering your aquascape isn't something that I would go about doing. Like it's more for aesthetic and technical reasons why you'd want to make a specific aquascape. When it comes to like cost savings, your best bet is going to be on things like investing wisely into technology that will keep stuff alive, because by far the most expensive thing about this hobby is losing stuff that you spend money on, like the corals and fish, because when it comes to the actual cost of like the aquascape or even the aquarium itself, or even even like the lighting, even, which is like the most expensive piece of equipment, what it's going to boil down to is over the long term, all of that stuff is practically free, believe it or not. Even if you spend like a few $1,000s, it really is practically free compared to the amount of money that you're going to be spending on livestock. So if you wanted to save the most money and you're playing the long game, really focus judiciously on like making sure your system is going to be the easiest to maintain, that you can do frequently, and it will keep everything as stable as possible. Changing your aquascape around really isn't going to affect the overall cost of the hobby long term. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light there. Anyway, and that goes for everybody. That's actually a good question. I mean, it's like there's really only a few ways to save money, and I think a lot of times people get into like this Craigslist mentality of I want to buy a used aquarium. Like, don't buy a used aquarium. Like, no, like aquariums, they run out of time eventually. Their seams break, so you want to like just get really robust equipment and focus a lot on the husbandry. That will save you a lot of money over time. Okay. Live show. Moving on. 51. This is our green-tipped Frogspawn. Also Indonesian. Will grow buds at its base. All of these guys grow very, very quickly. So a single polyp will be a sizable colony within about 12 months. Okay. Actually, another good follow-up point. So Anthony Debson, yes, I agree. I was going to spend a lot on auto-dosing, water changing, and top-off. Excellent idea. However, I did not see the point of dropping 500 pounds on live rock. And this is a new tank. So live rock, I'm not a huge proponent of live rock. Like, I personally think that it's better to start with just dead base rock, because you almost fully eliminate the risk of bringing on hitchhikers that are often like in live rock. And it's actually practically impossible to keep rock from turning into live rock fairly quickly, as a matter of fact. So anytime you buy corals, you're essentially buying like the seeds for live rock. So if you just have like dead rock, it'll colonize bacteria just like anything else. And you're much less likely to introduce pests on coral, because like hopefully you might be doing some kind of coral dipping, some preventative dips and whatnot. So that will seed your rock. It will eventually develop coralline. It'll develop microfauna because it comes on coral, actually. So starting a tank on live rock probably is unnecessary. I don't see a ton of benefit for it. There are some risks to it, like I mentioned, with like some larger pests like gorilla crabs and whatnot. Something that comes in even small that might grow into a 6-foot worm. We actually even have one of those. It's called a bobbit worm. We just keep it in a small little tank just for fun. But yeah, it'll be 6 feet long one day. And this stuff comes on even like small pieces of coral. But if you like buy giant pieces of rock, you might get the adult version and not even know it. So that's something to consider. And also, paying like a lot of money for it. You could probably save a little bit just on the startup, put it towards something that you might benefit from a little bit more. Okay. Where are we? 52 now? Purple and green Frogspawn. 2 heads, it's a little bit pricier, like by $5, I think. Its face is actually pretty cool because it's like the way that the polyp separates into the tentacles. You get like this purple and green banding look. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys play League of Legends, but we named the bobbit worm Baron Nashor. So we haven't named anything in this whole place. None of the fish have names. None of the corals really have names, like, you know, personal names. But this bobbit worm that we have in this little tiny, like, 2-gallon aquarium has a name, and he's Baron. All right, number 53. This is a purple and green Australian hammer. So Aussie hammers tend to like jump in price, and they are much slower growing. You can already tell it has a very different shape compared to the Indonesian varieties of hammers. They tend to be a lot stockier, and the way that they grow, they don't really bud off so much as they grow by fission. And that typically, you're talking like a few months to add an additional polyp. But the benefit is you get a very different aesthetic looking polyp, and the overall like range of colors for Australian hammers is a little bit more diverse. So you might find like oranges and stuff. This one has like a purple tip and a green stalk. So Lauren Goth, I ordered the Elegance number 47. What is the light placement? I would keep it middle to low. You're not going to hurt it by keeping it in low light. So I would hedge towards lower light initially, because you're really not going to, there's practically no way to starve it out for light, that particular coral. However, it is possible to overexpose that coral. And the overexposure will happen within 24 to 48 hours. Like, it'll happen quick. So I always hedge towards like the lower lighting when possible. Eventually, if you did want to put it into like a brighter area, you can, but that transition should be slow. Which is more important, light or water quality? I'm personally more about water. Honestly, both are super important. If you watch my latest video on Nathan's tank, I think which is like, he's like a 1%er as far as I'm concerned, in as far as like how successful his tank has been. And that is only achievable when you hit all the right notes. Like, the lighting is good, the maintenance is good, the maintenance scheme is good. Like, all those things really have to come together. It's not one thing that's going to bail out all the others that you do poorly, or you're doing something that doesn't quite work. It really, the whole package has to come together. So you absolutely need, really tight control of your water quality, and like lighting is like, it's easily the most expensive part. So like, if you're gonna splurge, like, lighting is not a bad place to do it. Okay, continuing, number 54. It's a big neon green Aussie hammer. This guy has like 2 heads. Yeah, I think he's got 2 heads. So this is like only about half of it. There's the other half. Super fluorescent if you put this guy under actinics. Jean-Luc Picard asks, do you still use metal halide lights? If your name was really Jean-Luc Picard, that is so cool. But anyway, so do you still use metal halide lights? I don't. I would, but we're limited at this greenhouse with how much electricity stuff we can plug in without blowing all of our circuits. So the lighting that we use here is predominantly LED. It is, in my experience, it has not been the best for coloration, but clearly it's possible to grow corals with fantastic color under LED, because again, going back to Nathan's aquarium, he's using Sol Blues. We have Sol Blues in our systems here. So what gives? You should be able to get the kind of coloration you want under LEDs. If I had the choice, would I recommend it for optimum color? Probably not. I'd probably hedge towards T5 and metal halide a little bit more. And we used to actually have like 400 watt halides in here, but it practically didn't matter. And eventually we had so many other devices that we decided to go in a different direction. Okay, moving on. Number 55. This is a really big wall frog spawn. So the wall base, it's kind of like a long single channel. The base itself might be about 6 to 8 inches. I haven't like measured exactly, but this thing is gigantic. So if you're looking for like a showpiece frog spawn, this is like a really good candidate. I believe this is Australian, I think. And he looks awesome. I mean, I'd put that in my tank if I had one. Okay. Number 56. And this is the last one before our short intermission. This is our little neon green Galaxia. We have 5 of these frags available. Now Galaxia, bright colors, they tend to be notorious for sending out sweeper tentacles. So you kind of have to place them judiciously because their tentacles can extend a good 8 inches sometimes. So you do kind of have to be watchful for that. But if you're looking for like a bright little burst of color, these guys can deliver that for you. Not particularly super fast growing either. So Zen64, very nice LPS this show. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, there's going to be a lot more cool LPS to come. There's, I see some more LPS, then we're going to do like a section of like mushrooms and SPS, but then we're going to get back into some really high-end LPS. So if you guys are looking for some crazy showpiece ones that are like kind of like higher budget, this is the show for you guys. Peter Richmond, tell Robbie I said hi from Fort Lauderdale. Great day of diving today. Yeah, somebody knows who you are, Robbie. All right. Okay, is it time to move? All right. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. And when we return, we will hit number 57, the large Miami Lobo. I might also go over the rules, but for now, I'm going to use the bathroom. I will be back. Okay. I'm back. All right. So real quick, we can go over the rules here. So the live sale is both on YouTube and on TidalGardens.com simultaneously. There's a live sale section that you can go to actually see and purchase these corals. If you're kind of confused as to where that is, there's actually like a blinking red dot on like the left navigation, so you can just like click into there, and you can see some of like the, how this works. Just read it there, but I'll just kind of just go over the highlights. So to see the actual corals, because it's just like a numbered list with prices, to see the actual corals you actually have to watch the live sale, and you just purchase them just like regular items. Now shipping is a $39.99 flat rate, but it's free for orders over $250. So what you do is you select local pickup / live sale as the shipping option, which essentially doesn't charge you shipping. And when you're finally ready to check out, that's when you can add in the shipping module. So sometimes people mess up and like, they select flat rate like multiple times, and they get charged shipping every single time, and we just have to go back in and refund you, which is like no big deal on our end. So let's see. And I should say, like, the reason why that happens is that in order to actually reserve an item, you have to purchase it. Just having it in your shopping cart doesn't do that. So that's the long and short of it. If there's any questions, we can get to those. Zen64, are you bringing any nice showpieces to Magna? Yes, as a matter of fact, we are. Because Magna is one of those shows where, like, if you don't bring really, really, really good stuff, you're going to be embarrassed. Because other people will bring really, really, really good stuff. And I don't really feel like getting embarrassed. That's not my thing. So I'm gonna try to bring the best we can. Also, I should mention that so Nathan's tank, right? I keep on bringing up Nathan's tank, right? Well, he's actually going to be driving down with us, and I suggested, hey, why don't you frag up like half your tank and just bring it? Because this stuff is looking fantastic. You clearly can like thin it out just a little bit and not notice, and it might pay for your whole trip. So if you like a lot of his corals, I'm just gonna blow him up, but hey, talk to him, ask him to bring it to Magna, because he's gonna be at the Tidal Gardens booth, and he's gonna be having his corals for sale in my little frag tank. So if you liked anything you really saw there, hit him up on whatever forums that he might be on or whatever, and work that out. And he'll probably have to buy me some dinner or something like that to help pay for my booth. But yeah, so we hope to have some really, really, really nice stuff. Whether it's I'm bringing it or whether it's Nathan bringing it, there's gonna be cool stuff to see. So come check us out. All right, so back to the live show. This is a large Miami Lobo brain. There's gonna be two of these, this and the next one. So Lobo brains tend to be slower growing, but they can be propagated pretty easily, I found. Even just cutting straight through the flesh, they do heal. But it is a slow process. Like, we can't really have a great long-term aquaculture of these things because it's so slow. But at the hobbyist level, it's certainly possible. Yeah, medium light, medium flow. But I like these types in particular because they tend to be really stable, whereas like other things that look like this, like Symphilia, for example, they tend to die like really fast. So we don't ever buy Symphilia. I remember somebody was asking us, do you guys ever foresee like, doing a video on Symphilia? And I'm like, I'd love to do a video on Symphilia, except for the fact that it'll die before we could even record it. Like, usually they last a week in our systems. It's a shame because they're like such beautiful corals. Kind of a runner-up with the same sort of appearance would be a Lobophyllia. Okay. Right, so 58. Let's see, where am I? Why can't I click? There we go. So this is the other Lobo brain. It's a little dark. Can we lighten that up just a tad? There we go. It's actually the same color scheme. It's the same piece, really. It's just the angle, so it's getting a little bit of shade. But it's got the purple center, orange outline. Okay, number 59. This is an Australian Duncan. I keep on having to talk about these lights. This looks awesome. I'm really, really happy with how this is looking. Like, it's so strange. You would not think that that the bulb combinations would make that pronounced of a difference, but it is just like perfect for this camera. I mean, this really is what everything looks like, which is kind of hard to duplicate sometimes live on stream. But no, I'm happy with how this is looking. So it turns out cheap 10K bulb and sort of pricier Blue Plus. Is it? Wait, this is Aqua Blue Special and a Plus, not a 10K? Aqua Blue. Oh, so it's 2 ATI bulbs: Aqua Blue Special and Blue Plus. So if you guys are ever doing photography of your tanks and stuff and want to make it look good, that's the bulb combination. All the secrets. Okay, number 60. We're into our mushrooms. So if you guys are like some mushroom freaks out there, this is our green hairy Rhodactis. So mushrooms are a thing I'm getting more into. Now, this is a live sale, obviously, and things tend to be a little bit more heavily discounted and whatnot. And so some of the super high-end stuff we don't typically have on a live sale. We have a couple things here and there, but I came across a mushroom the other day that I, no joke, paid 4 figures for. My price was 4 figures. And it was so spectacular. I don't even have any pictures of it because all the folks that I had offered it to had said yes. Meaning we might be able to bring like 1 or 2 now to Magna. So like I can't actually sell them because I want to propagate them. Because it's a discosoma and it looks so cool. But hopefully I'll have them in such quantity that I can propagate them and have them available long term. But it was like by far, it's like 5 times more expensive than the most expensive coral I've ever purchased. So it was quite a gamble there, but it's a showstopper. So I'm definitely getting more into these mushrooms. Next up is a red mottled discosoma. And no, it's so like John Norris and Bethany Keeler, it's not a bounce mushroom. So bounce mushrooms are Rhodactises. This is a discosoma. It's one of these smooth ones even. It's actually like this like red mottled discosoma. Similar. This is $20, not 4 figures. Okay, next up, neon red discosoma. So this just goes to show you don't have to spend a ton of money for nice corals. Like, so it's really funny. So these mushrooms that I'm talking about that I'm not showing because I'm being a jerk about it, they are found in Australia. And the reason why they're not typically found and brought in a lot is because a lot of Australian collectors don't really know what to collect in terms of mushrooms. So they might see a mushroom like this that's like a bright neon red that's like fluorescent red, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's like the most amazing mushroom, we want $500 for it. No, bright red mushrooms that are like glowing red are not expensive. But like these really, really exotic ones that nobody's ever seen before, those are the ones that sell for like hundreds of dollars per polyp. So it's just like there's like a separation in like what's being collected versus what the market demand is. So that's why you don't often see a lot of mushrooms coming in from Australia because they want like big primo dollars for it, and they're like bright red mushrooms, which you can have now for $15. All right. Okay, so actually, Bruce Hansen is asking, any worries shipping here to Iowa with temps in the low 90s? Kinda yes, no. We are going to be shipping, so nowadays in summertime, we monitor both what the temperature is here locally as well as the destination. So if we are anticipating like mid 80s, low 90s, we're going to be sending the thing in with an ice pack in the styrofoam box. That tends to work out pretty well, but I'll be perfectly honest, it's always like a little bit of a risk when you're hitting like 90s. We can always like delay shipment for like cooler weather because it's going to be like mid 90s or at least high 80s this coming week here. So we might have to work around shipping just a little bit for all those people purchasing. But yeah, I mean, it's like heat is a bigger issue, I think, than cold weather. Okay, let's see, number 63. Got a green striped Discosoma for 15. Yeah, Michael Grubbs, we're in the hundreds here in Texas. I would not send corals to you right away. Number 64. It's a green spotted Discosoma. Rep Lover 1589. Anemones or clams? Unfortunately, no anemones or clams. You know, I wish that we had like a steady stock of clams year round. We totally don't. We have clams maybe once or twice a year. For whatever reason, we do clams very poorly here. They just don't survive long term, so we typically don't buy a ton of them. But when we do get them, we get some of the most incredible looking clams. It's just infrequently imported, and they don't last long here for us. Like, I would love to have like a clam system. I love clams, but they hate me. Anemones, we have a hard time even photographing them because like when we set up a live sale like this, by the time that the camera turns on, they've run off somewhere. I don't even know where they are because this is like a 240-gallon tank that's 8 feet by 4 feet wide. They're gone. I mean, there's still mini maxis from like a previous live sale that are still running around. We haven't even found them. So anemones tend to not cooperate. Okay, moving on, 65. This is a red marble Discosoma. That's a chromis. That's a mushroom. So this particular Discosoma is one of my new favorites. Obviously, it's not like crazy expensive favorite, but the nice thing is it's got like a really cool pattern that goes from like these teal like blotches that you can see there, like red spots, blue patches. It's all in there. And Discosoma can be easily propagated. The only thing that makes Discosoma difficult to propagate is getting them to reattach if they let go of their substrate. If they're still attached to their substrate, they're very easy just to glue that bit of substrate onto a plug. And since they're stuck to the substrate, they'll stick then to the plug. But if it's just flesh, getting them stuck down to something can be more challenging. So we tend to put them into like a little basket with some substrate, and over like a couple of weeks, they'll grab onto some of those pieces, and then we can start gluing it again. Okay, number 66. Pretty much at our halfway point, almost. Close. This is a green marbled, kind of like the red, but different color scheme, basically swapping out all the reds for this kind of this winter green. '67. Red spotted Discosoma. Very cool once you get these in a large cluster. Okay, 68. Purple Rhodactis. Rhodactises are even easier to frag than Discosoma for the simple fact that they tend to attach their substrate a little bit more tightly. Discosoma, they let go really easily. So we have actually had to change the way we ship them because we usually ship stuff hanging upside down. But it turns out Discosoma, just within like 30 minutes of hanging upside down, will let go. So we have to kind of do something different for them. These guys, not so much. Mr. Scales 924. What do you recommend for stocking a 100-gallon aquarium? You know, it really just depends on what you like. I mean, and I guess that's a thing. This whole hobby is like so subjective. And even when like in a facility like this where we have so many different types of corals, the number one deciding factor of what we carry here is what I like. There's plenty of stuff that we had opportunities to purchase that we could have made a lot of money on, but it's just something that didn't really speak to me. Like, I don't really like bounce mushrooms that much. And they sell for $500 a piece. It's never been my thing. So I always tend to just get what you like and just like let your taste dictate what your tank will look like. And if other people get it, that's fine. But just focus singularly on what makes you happy. And it turns out that a lot of stuff might not even be expensive. Or could be very expensive in the case of like certain reef aquarists. So it just depends. 69. Orange Rhodactis. It's kind of got like a bright orange frills with like a bluish purple base. Very cool. Crazy Fish Freak, do Rhodactis need stronger light? No, not really. We've kept these things in impossibly low lighting conditions, and they even maintain their color very nicely. Number 70. In fact, they might even grow larger under lower light. This is a green frilly Rhodactis. So Rhodactis, you can already just see in just a few that have shown here. Their morphology has a lot of variance to it. Like the frills and the little tentacles on this guy, completely different than other Rhodactis. And if you've seen the bounce mushrooms in my recent Nathan, it's all a possibility that they can just have these like this neon glowing, water bag looking things, these bounce mushrooms that have. So, and he said that in some of the ones that he's propagated for other people. Are we okay? Go ahead and like say what's up. Are we like dead? Oh, did it freeze? Did I lose stream? Are we back? Hopefully. If stream died, just like keep spam chat. Let me know. I'm like seeing all these people waving their hands. I'm like, what's going on? All right. So okay. So the stream might be like jumping in and out because we're supposed to have like this like raging thunderstorm soon, or we should have had one already, and it totally hasn't happened. But it did just get cloudy, so they might have blown up Time Warner. I don't know. All right. So anyway, like going back to what I was talking about. Yeah, Rhodactis, a lot of different variation in what they might look like. Okay, 70, 71. I'm sorry. Yeah. Again, continuing that point, look at how different the individual polyps look like, or individual tentacles look like on this thing. Also still very much a Rhodactis. And when it comes to Rhodactis, like these guys are about, what, 2 inches? There's like certain Rhodactis out there that can grow to be like 12 inches in diameter, like huge ones, like elephant ears. And those can even like grab and eat fish. So there's tons of different types of Rhodactis if that's your thing. Bethany Keeler, show the sign arena before it hits. We're looking at about a dozen more corals. We'll get there. I'm going slowly. I'm sorry. What should I dose? Pardon, how big were the Elegances item 48 and 49? I'm going to guess that those are the big ones that we showed. They're at least 9-10 inches. At least. They're giant. 72. The Sunrise Rhodactis. Can we lighten him up just a little bit? He's hating life right now. I mean, such is life sometimes when you're doing a live stream. This guy's completely closed. But you can kind of see that it's yellow, like that fish. Pretend it's like the fish. It's cooler than what it looks like currently. These guys, when they're fully extended, look pretty sweet. You'll have to take my word for it. Shall we move on then? 73? Or are we at the end of the road? Okay. And our last Discosoma. This guy looks super cool. I don't know if this is typical of this particular type of mushroom or not, but it almost has like a bullseye pattern. It goes purple, light blue, purple, and kind of like a fuchsia center. And it's got like lime green little bulbs. All right, moving on in a moment. Hard to believe we've been on for an hour and a half already. I'm gonna guess this show's gonna be like right around 2 hours, maybe more, maybe a little bit more. I'm chattier today than I usually am. I think the last live show we did was super fast because it was like 90 degrees in here, and I was like, get me out of here as fast as possible. All right, yeah. Oh, and Mr. Scales 924. There's 126 items, but there's actually like multiples on some of them. So there's total might be about actually 150 corals, but specific numbered items there's 126. Okay, Acropora. I will be the first to admit that this time of year is the absolute horrific worst for our acros. We literally lost a volleyball-sized colony of a really, really cool acro basically yesterday. Like RTN, the whole thing just died. And so like a lot of our acros are like struggling with color. Just remember this live stream, and you can just refer back to it and compare it to the acros that we're going to be having in our like October, November, December live sales. You're going to see a gigantic difference between like worst summertime acro versus peak season wintertime acro. It'll be like night and day. But anyway, for the people that want some relatively inexpensive acros that are still kind of doing well here, we have a small selection. This is the first. Number 74 is our... Is this 74? 70... Okay, so we're on 75. I'm sorry. Let's go to 75. Numbering is hard. So this is our Pastel Acro. Brent Bissell is asking, is it a bad time for acros in general or due to keeping them in a greenhouse? It's due to keeping them in a greenhouse. Photo period is different. Temperature is slightly different. Like, year after year, we get better at it. Like, if we were to have this conversation 5 years ago, we wouldn't be having one about acros because they'd all be dead. Maybe like 3 years ago, we'd be talking about all the brown acros. This year, we're actually having acros that are A, surviving, sorta, and B, still have color that's not brown. That's a long way to come in this type of greenhouse environment for us anyway. So we've controlled a number of different variables. Still a long way to go because you really want very, very consistent parameters to keep sensitive SPS. And consistency is the exact opposite of what goes on here, unfortunately. So we're tightening it down, but it's still a long way to go. Reef Tank TV, can a Harlequin tusk live in a 100-gallon tank? Probably not recommended. They grow really fast. They swim really fast. We have one here that's probably a good 9 inches, and he's kind of cramped looking in a 300. I probably would hold off on that. Brent Bissell, my colors faded in my frag tank as well over the summer. Why? I was curious. It could be for weird reasons that you might not realize. Like, it could be like pollen in the air and stuff like that. Like, weird stuff gets into our tanks. Jake Newman, how much flow do acros require? A ton. Generally speaking, the more the better. Let's go to 76 while we chat about acros. So acros require, across the board seemingly, very high light, very high flow, rock solid, and I mean rock solid water chemistry. If you can provide all those, that is great. Sometimes even when you provide all those, they die overnight. They are just tricky that way sometimes. If you do like this type of appearance, this upcoming issue of Coral Magazine, I actually wrote like the cover article all about like bulletproof SPS that kind of replicate the shape but kind of don't have that associated difficulty of Acropora. So you can kind of check that out if you're looking for like acro-ish alternatives, I would say, that are like SPS still, but are much easier. And actually, Flo, going back to who was asking Jake's question, that's probably one of the things that we struggle with, because our tanks tend to be lower flow than a typical home aquarium, and I think that our acros in particular would benefit from a lot more flow. 77. This is a green hairy Acropora. It has very, very faint green tips. Not super spectacular yet. If this guy hangs around till fall, he'll look a lot better. But like I said, you will never see acros look this bad at any other time of the year. Like, it is really rough on acros out here. Next up, 78. It's a tiny little blue acro echinata. Sometimes people like these little bottle brush guys. What's the best food to feed acros? Let's see. So Robbie just said that he uses Coral Frenzy. There's some thought that bacterial microfauna feeds acroporas really well. So I know one person that uses a biopellet reactor specifically to encourage like microbial growth, and so when those biopellets are kind of agitated, they release kind of like this white cloud into the water, and that feeds the corals. Another thing that sometimes people do is similar fashion, but they use like a zeovit method, and that also grows like some bacterial fauna that also feeds like some like the smaller polyp things, or even like filter feeders. So I've wanted to dabble with that a little bit as well. We don't currently do any type of like carbon dosing or anything like that. We didn't have great results, but anyway. Okay, next up, sky blue hydno. Hidophora is a much more robust, hardy SPS. This one in particular, they usually come in two colors, like the sky blue and a neon green. The sky blue is actually more difficult to come across than the neon green. And what's strange is like we haven't had a neon green one in quite some time. Should I dip corals before putting into my tank? Generally speaking, we recommend it. There's pests in like every corner, so I wouldn't trust anybody's stuff. Like straight off. And do we have pests here? Absolutely. We absolutely have pests in these systems. We dip our systems moving corals back and forth even, and you'll always find something. So yeah, just and dips aren't perfect, obviously. Comes in and still manage to track some stuff in, but yeah, like when in doubt, dip. Also, speaking of some trouble that happens in home aquariums in the summer, we've noticed that certain pests hatch only in the summer. Like they'll be gone all year round, and then all of a sudden show back up in summer. So you might want to like see if you can dip some of your stuff. All right, moving on. Number 80. Pink Posalapora verrucosa. So this type of Posalapora grows in like these stubby looking like knobs, and that is in contrast to this next one, number 81, which is a rainbow Posalapora, which is like a branching variety. This is actually kind of a new addition. I really like it. It's got like a stark white base, and purple and green polyps. Let's see. I can't pronounce your name. Caustosin? How do Hidophora grow? The ones that we have, they plate first, and then they start sending up some branches. So, like that particular one that we had shown, that sky blue Hidophora, I would expect it to encrust first before you start seeing any upward growth. Okay. Next up, 82. So this is our standard pink Posalapora. Next up is our bird of paradise. Okay. So yeah, Posalapora and bird of paradise, pretty good alternatives if you're looking for some branching SPS that are much easier than acros. Next, we have our standard pink bird's nest. They'll be more pink if you provide them more light. They'll be actually a lighter pink, I should say. We grow a lot of our bird's nests in fairly like low light, so that's kind of why I say that. The next one here, the yellow bird's nest, I think takes on its most attractive qualities in low light. So you'll get like that yellow skin still, but the green highlights on every little polyp is much more pronounced under like lower lighting conditions. They tend to get like a little bit faded under brighter light. Right now it's under like a radion, excuse me, like an Ecotech radion, so it's a little bit bright and faded right now. And it's summertime, it's bright. Next up, number 87. A Superman. What? No, 86. 86. Sorry about that. So you got a little teaser of the big budget items. Okay. So I love these maze brains, and like the tricolor is probably my favorite of this variety. I just love like its color profile, and they cut really easily. They grow nicely. They get really fleshy. I'm all about them. How do you ship a carpet anemone? 1 foot. I put them in a giant bag. Like I've only shipped one carpet, and it was like terrifying because it was like a $650 red carpet, and I was just sending it off. I'm like, oh, hope it makes it. Getting a little bit of glare. There we go. All right. So high price time. It's a Superman Acanthophilia. Yeah, it's a little bit bright still. There we go. Let's darken it down. So is Bethany Keeler still around? We're seeing that the little slight thing of Cinerina on the side there. It's coming up. Yeah, Acanthophilia. So they are expensive, but they are easy to keep. They're one of like the most hardy LPS that we've ever kept. You can pretty much keep them in any sort of aquarium. They're really tolerant to flow, light, even like poor water quality. They tend to do well. But when you get into like some of these like ultra colored ones, like the bright oranges, like the bright yellows, and like the crazy patterns, they tend to be kind of pricey. So that's kind of what you're seeing here. But if you are looking for that crazy showpiece, it's a signature Australian LPS. I mean, it is like right up there. Okay, moving on. 88. We've got one of our blood red Cinerinas. I guess it's a little bit more pink than like the reddest ones we've ever seen, but super healthy, super extended. Yeah, I always had a soft spot just for Cinerina, just because you don't see them a lot in other people's aquariums. I mean, it's not like a very popular coral. The higher end of the price point as far as like LPS goes, but I mean they're so distinctive. I mean they have like this a very unique shape and like that translucence of their polyps, and they come in all sorts of different colors. Like we just sold one recently like that had that same sort of Superman coloration as that Acanthophilia did. It had like a blue center with like pink on the outside, pinkish red on the outside. It's a very, very cool, you know, color scheme, and it didn't last very long on our site at all. Number 89 is a green Cinerina. Okay. And let's see. I think that's going to be it for a little while as far as the LPS goes. We're going to hit some SPS again. So, we're going to go next into our orange plating Montes. Let's see. Have to move the war rig. Every single cast I've been promising like a behind the scenes of one of these live shows, and it's kind of well, we'll get to it eventually. It's kind of like a ridiculous little Frankenstein monster of equipment that we got like rolling around our tank here. Was somebody asking about food? Oh, of our food mix. Yeah, there's actually a video on how to make your own food. I think it was like fairly recently, within the last couple weeks. So check out like how to make your own fish food. We use like a combination of fish, eggs, shrimp, sometimes some squid. Yeah, we're working on what works best here. Like, we just go to like the market, see what and scallops I think is another ingredient. Yeah, we're just trying different things, seeing how that goes. It's kind of smelly, leaves a film on the water because of the fish. It's very oily, but so far the corals like it, except for Acropora, and they're all dying. Okay, so we have our orange plating, a little dark. There we go. Better. Next up, we've got a branching Montipora spongotes. Okay, next up. Number 92, green plating. These guys I don't think played out quite as fast as the orange, but it's definitely like a flat green if you're looking for that sort of thing. So special shout out to like the folks in Europe. I'm always curious as to what the reef tank scene is over there. I mean, sometimes I see like amazing aquariums, and then other times I see like I hear stories of like there's nothing available, so I'm always kind of curious as to what you know, what people's experiences are over there. 93, purple plating Monty. This guy's color is like off the charts. I just love this thing. A little bit bright. There we go, a little better. Yeah, that's a fast-growing, like, deep purple. Tattoo Craze Ink Studio. Does acro ever regrow over the places it has died off once it recovers from die-off? If it recovers, sure. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't recover. So, I mean, it's drastic, but sometimes your only resort is to frag up small pieces, and hopefully you get to restart. Oh, Palamo, it's like I'd love to check out your tank, but it's like for whatever reason, chat does not allow you to post URLs. I don't know. It's YouTube. What is behind the purple plate? That is, I think, a $450 rainbow acanthophilia. That's on the site, I think. Oh, it's not on the site. Or maybe it is. It's not on the site? It's $4.50. But it's probably the nicest Acanthophylla we have. We'll put it on the site. Well, no. We'll take it to Magna first. Because I need to put something in that tank. It's not going to embarrass me. So I'll take that to Magna. And if it comes back unsold, we'll put it on the website. All right, 94. Unless somebody wants to make me an offer I can't refuse. Okay, 94. Orange Halo Montipora. And what's up, Jim Gintner? I see you in chat. 94. The Orange Halo Monties. We had just fragged these up, so it's just now starting to heal. This thing is awesome. Like, go do some Google image search on Halo Montipora, and you can see these things once they get really large. Like the main section of the body is like it tends to be like a darker purple, green polyps, but the rim is like hot pink. It's a very, very, very cool high-end piece. And like I said, these are just recently fragged, so they're a little bit, don't have like, full colony coloration, but they'll get there. Have I ever been to Denmark? No. I mean, my European travels are pretty lame. Like, I've only been to, so far, England and France. But I desperately need to get out there. One of my friends works for, like, a bike touring company, and he does bike tours all over Europe. And I just want to, like, just do, like, a 6-month thing where I just, like, bike 10 countries out there. But no, I would love to check out Denmark. Justin T, a random question. What are your thoughts on the new AI Prime for nanos? I'm sure it's a perfectly good light. Like, once you get into lighting of that range, they'll all do the job really well. It just matters, like, what kind of features are really, really good selling points for you, whether, like, you like the integration with your phone, maybe you don't really care about any of that and you want something cheaper. The light itself, they'll all do the job. Okay, actually, Matthew, can you just like move the light to see if you can get it under more actinic? Just for this one.
I can't because it's stacked on
Oh.
top.
No, sorry. Somebody was asking if we could move the light. We can't, unfortunately. It's kind of doofy. Maybe we can? It's okay. Yeah, all right. We try to please. All right. Okay. So moving along, 95. This are Scarlet Encrusting Monty. Very underrated, but it's a lot of the encrusting Monties you'll see are like more orange. This is actually a deep red, which kind of I think separates it. Anything that's like really actually red in this hobby, it's a lot more rare than you might think. A lot of stuff that passes for red, I think most people would say it's closer to orange. Uh, 96. Neon green plating Monty. Yes, it really looks like that. It looks like it's fake. It looks like it's made out of green plastic that's fluorescing. It's so bright right now. So actually, while our Acropora are struggling, our Montipora are actually doing very well. Sam Morris, what is easier, LPS or SPS? Generally speaking, I think most people would say SPS, but you can find examples of easy or difficult SPS or LPS. For example, I would take any difficult SPS, like acros even, right? Because I just mentioned how much I struggle with acros. I will take any Acropora over a Symphilia, which is like a gorgeous giant LPS that looks like a lot of other giant LPS out there, except Symphilia are like 100% guaranteed to die in my care. 100% guaranteed. So it really does depend genus to genus, and maybe even species to species as to what's difficult. Goniopora, LPS, very difficult most of the time. So, yeah, difficult. Depends on really what you're talking about. A bird's nest, probably not very difficult as compared to those things, definitely. All right, 97. Pink sand dollar Monty. Here we go. People ask, is this an encrusting? Is this a plating? I'd say it's more of an encrusting. $98 is Montipora orangi. This is like a little tiny guy, but you can see what makes Montipora orangi one of the more interesting and popular Monties. They have like really interestingly spaced out polyps. They're more sparse than a lot of the other Montipora, and they almost have like this candy looking like saltwater taffy texture to them, or at least that shape, I should say, not the texture. So yeah, a lot of people really like the orangis for that reason. They do look like candy. $99. The blue and gold Montipora. This guy's an encrusting. The base is like yellow with purple polyps. So why don't we call it a purple and gold? Because the lighting has a lot to do with like how the polyps themselves will look. Sometimes they're more blue, sometimes they're more what you're growing them under and also what you're viewing them under. Can you place any two Gonies next to each other? Maybe. I think so. I don't recall them really hard with anything. I don't know if they're really that aggressive. Okay, number 100. We've got a green Scolymia. And I already know you guys are going to ask, what's behind it? It's another Acanthophylla. I don't know if he's on the site either. But if you're looking to try... What? Oh, he is on the site. So if you wanted to see another picture of that Acanthophylla, it's on the site. Anyway, the green Scolymia here, if you're just looking to get into Scolies and wanted to give one a try, it's a relatively inexpensive option. They're not difficult to care for. And we've noticed that sometimes, like, you know, when you keep these things longer under T5s, for example, they do color up a bit more. I mean, this is what I would consider like a little bit more drab, but it's $60. Like, a couple more down the line, you're going to see something a little bit more expensive, a little bit more compelling coloration, higher price tag. So let's go to 101. This is our red Scolymia. Often like a red sun Scolymia, sometimes they're called. $102. This is the God of War Scolymia, $300. It's little bit of a discount of what we would typically sell this quality of God of War for, because in addition to like the red and purple striping, if you look really carefully at where the polyps would extend from, it's yellow. So when it like actually fully opens up, you get this big band of yellow along the inside crease there. It's like a super duper dramatic showpiece coral. This guy's probably 5 inches in diameter. It's a pretty sizable piece too. So if you're in the market for like a showpiece Scolymia, this is definitely one of the ones I would be considering. So kind of have the entry level coloration, middle grade, and then now you're getting to like the sort of the higher end stuff. We like to include just some higher end stuff just occasionally, because I know like eye candy goes a long way. Next up, 103. This is a neon green trachea. So Tracheophilia tend to be one of the easier to keep, LPS as well. Most of the time people keep these on the bottom of the tank. Lower flow, but like low to medium lighting will do these guys just fine. And you can feed them too, just like what you would expect from any number of LPS that look like this. Sam Morris, Zoas? Yeah, we're gonna actually get into some Zoas soon. 104 is our red pinwheel trachea. Get that alternating cream and red coloration. And if you look really carefully at where like the polyps will extend on this guy, the polyps are actually like a teal color. Next up, 105. In a bit. And speaking of Zoas, here we go. We're going to get into our Zoas. Yeah, sorry, Sam. We only ship to the U.S. and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. U.S. Virgin Islands. Okay. So first one up here, the pink plasmazoas. Kind of like a purple face with kind of like some fuchsia highlights there. Actually, Matthew, for this, could you cap the camera and move the entire rig closer to the tank? I'm asking him to cap it just so you guys don't get like all motion sick, just, you know, going back and forth there. Let's see how this looks. Better. Yeah, you guys can get a little bit of better idea, because I mean, like some of the stuff that we were showing with the LPS are like a lot larger, so we had to be further back. But for the Zoas, we can get a little closer in. So pink plasma, very cool Zoas. They have kind of got green tentacles and like that fuchsia colored pink center. Okay, number 106. The Fiji hypercolor Zoas. Also, this goes back to my thing of I like super punchy colors, and then these things definitely deliver on that front. Okay, 107. It's like a super faint, like a pastel, like a purple and like a really light sky blue, kind of like Easter eggy. Okay, next up, number 108. So pink and gold Zoas. Now, we've sold these many times before, and it was always a bit of a mystery whenever we just show these things, why they're called pink and golds. You can very clearly see why with this particular specimen. There's like the newer polyps have like kind of like a gold dust coloration to them, whereas like the older polyps have like this have more of a pink look. So you actually get that both that pink and gold look. For the longest time, like these things were like super monochromatic for us, but like this particular one, it nicely shows off like that two-tone, which it's supposed to do. Okay, 109. We're coming up on the end. We've been broadcasting for a little over 2 hours, so I'm gonna guess 5:20-ish we'll be done. All right, so this is our Green Bay Packer Zoas. I expect that the orange centers on these will become more pronounced more towards the fall. You're kind of seeing summertime coloration once again here. They're called Green Bay Packers because they're supposed to be orange and green. For the European crowd, that's American football, which like I keep on forgetting that nobody. Yeah, it's American hand egg, but yeah, I know that like nobody outside of the U.S. cares about football. What's a Packer? It's a American hand egg football team. All right, next up, 110. These guys are called are called Sakuras. I didn't name these. These are actually something you can Google image search. I didn't name a lot of these, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, this is one of the ones that that's definitely a known quantity. They're really cool. I mean, I think it's like that alternating pink and purple. What's your personal record for most expensive Zoas you've bought as far as per polyp? Rastas, maybe? Rastas are kind of expensive per polyp. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we in the last live sale, we sold macaws. Yeah. And that in the future will probably be also our most expensive thing that we purchase, because I think our macaws died inexplicably this past week. So all of my customers that I had sold macaws to, you're on notice. I will buy those back once you guys start propagating them. So if you guys can propagate them, you essentially got free macaws, because I will buy them back for a lot. Anyway, 111. These are pink cotton candies. Under this type of lighting, they actually look a lot like the Sakura. Slightly different, but really, really, really similar. Okay. Next up, 112. Speaking of Rasta, here we go, 4 polyps. These always tend to be a little bit more expensive because they're they get thrown around as Japanese deep water Zoas. There's like an entire group of them, like Fruit Loops are in there. There's a couple others that are like the quote unquote Japanese deep water Zoas. From what I understand, they're not collected in deep water, and they are not collected from Japan because you cannot exactly get corals out of Japan. That's highly, highly illegal. So I don't really know why they're called Japanese deep water Zoas, but they are. Whenever they do show up in this country, they usually die within a week. So once they get established, they're stable. But before that, not so much. So that's typically why you see some of these things like the Rastas. They maintain a high price because they're not very easy to import, and so almost all the trade is done by aquaculture. Is $100 per polyp unheard of? No. I think we were selling macaws for $80 a polyp. Okay, number 113. We have our gauntlet Zoas. Next up, 114. Okay. For the most part, I'm super happy with how things look under these lights. All of the rainbow coloration is like lost in what I'm showing you here. There should be like a lighter pink and like more green on this thing in person. So it's kind of on the fence. I mean, it might develop better. Again, we're kind of like battling summer sun, but yeah, even with what I'm seeing in person here versus what I'm seeing on camera, it's a little bit off. Such is life. But that's 114. 115. Neon green pallies. Paleothoa overall tend to do really well here, regardless of season, and you can see just like how vivid these guys have colored up. $116 is the purple death pallies. As these guys color up a little, like towards, like I should say, winter coloration, the rim turns like a lighter blue color, and the face remains purple. There's a little Leptasia there. Whenever we ship out, we always look for little things like that. We feed that stuff to a copper band before we send it. But yeah, sometimes, and you have to also remember, like, that thing is probably like 1/8 of an inch in size, so sometimes it's hard to see. But in a macro lens, you can see all kinds of weird stuff. So there's a little Leptasia there. Okay, 117. Our neon green Nephthia, who's like mostly closed. These things get gigantic. We've got a few colonies here that are at least, I don't know, like 9-10 inches. They grow pretty rapidly and can be propagated. Okay, 118. Excuse me. It's our blue Sympodium. We've been propagating these guys for a very long time now, like years. They've done very well. It's always like interesting to find stuff that's this blue. You know, it's like when I first started into this hobby, you're very lucky to have something that was green. Like most things were brown. And so you kind of like hit the jackpot when you found something green. Like nowadays, like the color variation that's available in this hobby is like outrageous. 119. Yellow polyps. A lot of folks categorize these as like a very beginner-friendly piece. They're pretty easy to take care of. They grow quickly. You do kind of have to watch where you place them because they do spread a little, and they're very potent stinging cells. So they're not quite as bad as Leptasia because they're much more under control than that because it's a coral rather than an anemone that can kind of travel. But the side benefit is these are bright yellow. So yeah, I mean it's great if you wanted to like keep this in like a soft coral type tank. Like I said, it's very beginner friendly, and you can feed the heck out of them too. They love to be fed. Okay, last 6, number 120. We have some orange tip clove polyps. These guys are difficult to get to open on command because as soon as like we grab them just to place them here for the live show, they close up. So we're kind of lucky that they don't have any polyp extension whatsoever. Yeah, clove polyps, as long as they ship well, they do pretty well once they're in your aquarium. They're not that difficult as long as they survive the shipping process. Okay, 121. We have a small purple sea fan. And luckily, he's cooperating for us. How tall is this thing? It's probably like, I don't know, 3 inches, 4 inches? Yeah, about 3 to 4 inches. These things are from the Caribbean, so they're photosynthetic, so you don't have to worry about like, you know, weird filter feeding requirements or anything. You can see they grow gigantic in size. Okay, next up, 122. Small little green star polyp. Very fast growing, very beginner friendly as well. I tend to find that they do best in very high flow. Sometimes they kind of close and struggle if they don't get enough flow because like algae and stuff like that kind of like grows and bothers. $123. It's our balloon star polyp. It's essentially a green star polyp, but we call them like the balloon centers because you can just tell by the middle that it has kind of like a bright bulbous mouth. Okay, moving along, 124. Somebody had mentioned in chat about a pink cabbage leather, so here's one. It's a type of a Sinularia. This guy's probably, what, 3-4 inches? It's a super beginner-friendly coral. Could we darken it up just a little bit, Matthew? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, very interesting shape. We have two varieties, this and a neon green. We don't have a neon green up in this particular live sale, but this is the pink variety. Okay. 125. We're selling some pulsing Xenia. This stuff we usually sell for $25 on the site, so if you're looking to get a frag of this, it's a little bit less expensive, and there's 5 of these available. One of the only corals that actually has its own pulsing motion. A lot of people think, you know, it's like a super, I don't know, pest coral that's practically for free in certain areas. But I'll tell you what, it's over the years, it's by far been our hottest seller. Yeah, people still very much, you know, like to acquire this coral. And lastly, we have some Kenya trees. So yep, for all you soft coral fanatics, we ended it on mainly some softies. So hopefully we found something that you like. So that pretty much does it for our August live sale. Check chat real quick. See if there's any like last minute questions or comments or anything like that. What would cause a Xenia to stop pulsing when every other coral is doing great? So there's a couple of things that affect pulsing Xenia. One of the main things is actually water flow. They tend to pulse less when there's a lot of water flow. So in more calm waters, they tend to pulse more. I've noticed they pulse more in warmer aquariums and in higher light. So believe it or not, in wintertime here, where every other coral seems to be at its absolute peak, the peak conditions for Xenia here is actually in the summer. So our summertime Xenia tank is like completely mesmerizing to look at. There's so much activity in it. And in the winter months, not so much. Okay. I think we edged it at 5:20 here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's time for Magna preparation. So hopefully if any of you guys are going to Magna, definitely stop by and say hello. Pretty much the whole crowd's gonna be here except for yeah, no Robbie. Yeah, no Robbie's not gonna make it. My parents aren't coming, so oftentimes my parents come to the shows, they won't be there either. So yeah, and unfortunately, like my friend Kristen, she sometimes helps out, but she's moving to Arizona, so she's not gonna be there. So nobody cool, just me and some other guys. So anyways, thanks again for joining us, and until next time, see you guys.